Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to another vlog with Freda, hosted by my burnt orange. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in to the last videos. You came in, you engaged, it was encouraging, and I got a whole bunch of questions about my business and about food writing. I see there's a number of budding food writers out there who are very interested in how to get started. And you know what? I thought rather than go back and forth in an email and just speak to one person, I could speak to I could just do a vlog and just explain my journey and perhaps share some strategies with you. So before I get into that, perhaps it might help to give you a little insight into my own journey into food writing. Nearly 10 years ago, I started taking photographs of food. I was a first-time mom, and I had just gone onto a journey of rediscovering foods that my mom would have cooked that I did not really appreciate growing up, and I wanted to recreate this. But what I wanted to also do was share more about my food to the world, because my food, if you don't know, is African food. That's the topic I focus on. I know that African food is a very broad topic, and to be realistic, what is African food? You've got Ghanaian food, you've got food from the different regions of Ghana, you've got the food of the Gas, the food of the Ashantis, Fante food, Ewe food, etc. But I just decided to start with this blanket focus on African food, mainly because of my background. I grew up in Botswana, my parents are Ghanaian, and I'm learning a lot about Zimbabwean food, mainly because my husband's family is from there. So I started to take photographs of my food, and then I started to write about it on my blog, which is called My Burnt Orange, hence the name of my YouTube channel. So I've been doing this for a number of years, and at the time I started, very little was known about African food, and in this grand scheme of things, very little is still known. If you hop onto any social media site, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you'll see 101 recipes, or even more, thousands of recipes about pasta, about pizza, or some other kind of popular cuisine, but there's still not enough out there about African food. So I've been working to fill that space. So shortly after I launched my blog, I think my name got out there, my blog got out there. Google use was on the rise, so people would search for African food and my blog would come up. So I've had invitations by airline in-flight magazines like Arik Air. I've had mentions by the likes of African Economist, just various publications like this, because I was doing something pretty niche. I was doing something very focused. Even though African cuisine is broad, still that is my topic, that is my niche, and I've been writing very targeted content around that. So the rest is history. I mean, since then, I have featured on CNN, I featured on BBC, I have gone on to be consulted as an African cuisine expert on various publications. If you check out thespruce.com, those were my very first clients. Subsequently, I've written a book called The Science of Spice. I did mention that in last week's vlog, but just in case you missed it, you can go and hop onto last week's vlog and just see how we came around to discussing this topic today. So that is my story, and that is the first point I will give you. Decide what topic you're going to write about. become a specialist, let it be your focus. You don't have to be an expert on day one. I certainly did not start my burnt orange saying I'm an African cuisine expert, but through all the work I've done, I've become known as an African cuisine expert, if there was ever such a thing. So I encourage you to pick a topic and stick with it. So if you're in South Africa, do you have cuisines that are particular to a certain group of people or a tribe? Do you have family traditions that are unique to yourself? Things like that. Do you love baking and want to write all about baking? That there are books that are just all about cakes. There are books that focus on bread. There are books that focus only on a certain type of bread. So there's so much that can be done. So the first thing I would recommend is that you pick your topic and you stick with it, you nurture it, you become an expert and allow your knowledge to grow. The second thing I would recommend is just write. Now, I have been working on my blog, reviving it, tidying it up, improving the search engine optimization. I think when you start dealing with websites, you will hear about this a lot. You will hear about SEO, that's search engine optimization. But as I go through all my work and I look at how I wrote 10 years ago, how I write today is nothing like that. It doesn't matter. How I wrote 10 years ago was what got me all the attention and opportunities I have had. So the only thing you have to do is write, 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 and write again. That's the second step. Now, it's all good me saying keep writing. Somebody's got to read it. So you have to share it. It is entirely up to you to share it. I know what you may be thinking. Who's going to read it? When I first started blogging, I thought the idea of writing and sharing it for the world to see when absolutely nobody knows me was absurd. So I just wrote for myself. And that is what you can do as well. But believe me, if you keep writing and sharing and your topic is focused enough, people are going to find you. The blogging community is very friendly. People encourage each other, they comment, they're going to find you, and what you're saying, so far as it's authentic, is going to be very interesting. So it is essential that you share your work. And how do you share your work? Twitter. So I can't tell you how people shared their work decades ago before social media. But when I started, Twitter was still fairly new, and Twitter was essential to my work. I would share my blogs on Twitter. I would share my blogs on Facebook. Today we've got Instagram. You can share, and 1, 2, or 3 people are going to read it. It doesn't have to be hundreds. Honestly, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be hundreds. So far as you do, number 1, you pick a topic that you're going to specialize and focus on. It has to be something you're interested in. Number 2, you're going to just write, write, and write again. Number 3, share your work. Now I don't want to bore you with a very long video, so I'm going to stop here. But if you come again next week, I will share some tips about photography. So I had questions about food photography. So pop back in next week and I will share a little bit with you on photography or food photography. Because once again, we start at the beginning, we practice, and we become experts in our own right. Thanks for watching.